Estonia, with half the land covered in forest, has a very rich folklore and mythology, from giants to werewolves to goblins that live under old ovens. Join me in this video where I'll detail 25 creatures and beings that you might come across in the most northern of the Baltic States. A krat is a magical creature typically crafted from everyday objects, such as tools, household items and natural materials, often hay. Farmers traditionally created krats as helpers to perform menial tasks, particularly in the fields or around the home. The process of making a krat often involved invoking magic, as the creature was believed to require a binding spell or incantation to come to life. The krat serves its master by performing chores and labour, even stealing things for its owner. However, the relationship between the krat and its creator is complex. If the creator fails to treat the krat with respect or neglects it, the creature can become mischievous or even rebellious, turning against its master. This is why it must be kept busy at all times. If the krat has nothing to do or it's served its purpose, the master would need to ask it to do impossible jobs, such as build a ladder out of bread. This would take the krat a long time, if it could complete the task at all, and in frustration it would often catch fire and destroy itself. Interestingly, due to the nature of krats doing things for humans like robotic servants, in Estonia they've been used as a metaphor for AI. The algorithmic liability law is also referred to as the krat law. If you're wandering around the old town of Tallinn at night, you might encounter a strange old man that has a question for you. He'll ask you if the city is ready yet. This is the Old Man of the Lake, the keeper of Lake Ülemiste on the outskirts of Estonia's capital that resides in its waters, but emerges on occasion to check the status of the city. He asks if Tallinn is ready or finished. If you answer yes, then this spells doom for the city, for he will summon forth the waters of the lake to engulf Tallinn and sweep everything away. Therefore, if the old man is encountered, he should be told that the city is not yet complete, and he will turn away and return to his slumber beneath Lake Ülemiste. In times gone by, he'd be seen by the town gates and would ask the question to the guards, who would be under instruction to tell him that the city isn't yet finished. There are many stories of werewolves, Leberhund in Estonia, usually always associated with magic and curses. Witches were known to temporarily transform themselves into werewolves, although they would transform others into werewolves permanently. Often, her victims would be newlyweds or those in the wedding party. The curse doesn't have to be permanent though, for if a werewolf is given bread to eat, then it will once more become human. People could also willingly become werewolves by performing certain rituals. One example being walking on hands and knees around certain stones 3 times. Werewolves also rarely attacked people, only tending to go for livestock. There are some examples where people are on hunts for werewolves, and the wolf they seek is actually a member of the hunting party who is unaware of his own transformation. In one story, a nobleman and his peasant companions are staying out in the woods one night, and one peasant states that he will go and do some hunting. He transforms into a wolf and brings a sheep back for the group. In another tale, a noblewoman is arguing with a serf on whether people can turn themselves into animals. The peasant goes down into the cellar and turns himself into a wolf, at which point the dogs of the house spring up and attack the creature, tearing out an eye. The following day, the noblewoman sees the peasant with only one eye now. It's said that even up until the mid-17th century, European travel writing wouldn't fail to mention these Baltic werewolves, alongside lynx and hares, when discussing the fauna that could be found in this region. The Nak is a water spirit in the form of a very beautiful woman that lures a prey in with her enchanting good looks or haunting music. Don't be fooled by them though, for once she has the unfortunate passerby in a trance, she'll pull them beneath the water and drown them. It isn't always her singing that draws in attention though. Sometimes she imitates the noise of a crying child, and a passerby will approach the water looking to save them, only to become the latest in a long line of victims. Not all stories involve dragging people down into a watery grave though. There are some accounts of the Nak taking human lovers and pulling them underwater, not to kill them, but just to be with them. Known as shapeshifters, there are stories of the Nak taking on the form of a horse and taking their lovers away on their backs. Likewise, there are stories of humans taking Naks as lovers on land, but there are always giveaway signs that these women are not like the others, with water dripping off them being a major sign. The Arhualuna is a hobgoblin type of figure that lives under old ovens and is known to smoke an old wooden pipe. His name literally means under the oven. He usually destroys a person's kitchen, but the cook can appease the creature by offering him food. However, he will take advantage of the cook's kindness and try to take a lot more than he's given. In one story, the cook offers the Arhualuna his ladle to try his lentil soup, but the little man drinks the whole pot and vanishes. The cook reports this to the Lord, who, after some disbelief, orders the cook to strike the little man with the ladle if he returns. The little man reappears multiple times, each time pleading for food for his sick family. The cook, moved by compassion, gives in each time, resulting in the cauldron being emptied again. Each time he faces the Lord's wrath, who threatens to throw him out if this happens again. Finally, the cook strikes the little man when he appears once more, following the Lord's orders. Afterward, the Arhualuna rewards the cook with a magical box that grants wishes. The cook uses it to help others and gains the admiration of a fellow servant who tries to replicate his success. However, the greedy servant misuses the box, leading to chaos and punishment by way of the Arhualuna beating him with an iron club. Ghosts are found all over the world, and Estonia is no exception. The country's most famous ghost can be found in the town of Haapsalu in the bishop's castle. On full moon nights in August, an image of a white lady ghost is said to appear on the inner wall of the chapel. There's an old legend here that tells of a canon that fell in love with a local girl and would secretly bring the maiden into the castle. This was forbidden, as every canon was expected to live a chaste life. The girl would sneak in by dressing as a choir boy, and this plan worked for some time, but one day the bishop took notice of the girl and ordered an investigation of the choir boy's sex. Upon realizing that it was in fact a girl, the bishop decided that she should be sealed up in the walls of the chapel, and her lover should be put in prison, where he starved to death. The girl was placed into a cavity in the wall with a piece of bread and a mug of water, and was then sealed up. For a while, her screams could be heard, but before long they stopped. It's said that her spirit cannot find rest, and she can still be seen to this day. The Ali Kalavitsaya are female spirits that reside in hot springs, appearing in humanoid form that take shape from the sands beneath the water. They're associated with healing, and humans can communicate with them and seek blessings and assistance by tossing coins into the spring. It's said that a voice can be heard coming from the spring, sounding like a gentle whisper and offering wisdom to those seeking her wise counsel. Metsavana, the old man of the forest, is a wise and powerful guardian. He's portrayed as an elderly man with a long beard made of moss or lichen, and his clothing, including his hat, is made from natural materials like birch, blending him in with his forest home. As a guardian figure, he's seen as the protector of the forest and those that dwell within, watching over plants and animals, and intervening when humans disrespect his domain. He can communicate with the wildlife of the forest, and some say that each forest has its own Metsavana. He's also a mentor to those that seek guidance and offers assistance to lost travellers, imparting knowledge of survival in the wilderness. Metsaima, the forest maiden or forest mother, is the female guardian of the forest, regarded as being the wife of the Metsavana. She's symbolic of the nurturing and protective aspects of nature and embodies the earth's fertility. She's depicted as a kind and gentle woman adorned with elements of nature, such as flowers and leaves. She's invoked in stories and rituals relating to the forest and agriculture, as finding favour with her will ensure abundance and the bounty of the forest. Similar to the Metsavana, she provides aid to those lost within the forest, provided of course that they respect her domain. But she'll likewise punish those that exploit or disrespect her home. Those that seek to take more than they need will be punished, teaching them the importance of balance and moderation. Poyakon, meaning the northern frog, is a giant dragon reptile-like creature. It was said to have the body of an ox, the legs of a frog, and the tail of a snake. The northern frog's body was covered with scales stronger than stone and iron. Its eyes shone brighter than candles. The creature tried to destroy everything in its path and expelled fire and smoke from its mouth. He travels around in giant leaps, devouring people and animals and destroying huge swaths of land, until he's finally defeated in your typical dragon-slaying type of story. It was said that during the Northern Crusades, Poyakon was an ally of the Estonians, having helped them to fight against the Christian invaders. Surtol, meaning Tol the Great, was a giant that lived on the island of Saaremaa. He was king and would frequently throw huge rocks at anyone that tried to cause trouble for his people, such as Christians and foreign invaders. Despite his high status, though, his day-to-day living was that of a farmer. Because of this, one of his weapons that he wielded in battle was a giant cartwheel. He was a kind and helpful giant, but he had a very hot temper. He was known to help seafarers that needed assistance, and he loved drinking beer and enjoying time in the sauna. Eventually, he was slain in battle. He gave his life in defense of his beloved homeland, and is said to act as a protective spirit that will rise again should he be needed. Virvatuli, flashfire, otherwise known as will-o'-the-wisp, are the strange atmospheric ghost lights that appear to lost travellers in woodland and boggy areas. In Estonia, it was believed that Virvatuli marked the location of a treasure deep in the ground or the water, which could be found and taken only when the fire was there. Sometimes magical procedures or rituals were required to uncover the treasure. It was thought that early autumn was the best time to search for the flashfire, but just because the possibility of treasure was there does not mean that they wouldn't lead people into the bogs to drown. Suvana is another guardian creature, this time the spirit of the wetlands. He appears inside mist, which takes unusual shapes, as well as in bogs. If bogs have a high amount of cranberries, then it's a good signifier that Suvana is present within it, as this spirit has cranberries growing in his hair. Don't pick them though, as this is a sure sign to anger him. He's a very solitary figure and hates being disturbed, falling into a deep depression should people cross his path. He has great admiration for other solitary creatures, but respects their solitude and won't bother them. Seeing bright lights in the boglands isn't always the will o' the wisp. It can sometimes be the eyes of Suvana, another reason not to follow any mysterious glowing orbs. The Mar Alused are subterranean spirits that reside in underground realms. The name translates as underground beings or earth dwellers. They're small and humanoid in appearance, quite similar to gnomes and dwarves. They're very rustic, wearing clothes made from natural materials and in earthy colours. They protect not just the earth but the treasures that lie within. Those that show respect may be rewarded with gold and gems and the like. They are also believed to have a parallel existence to that of humans, the principal difference being that all orientations are reversed, such as up becomes down and left becomes right. Translating as cold shoe or cold foot, the Comb King is a restless, malevolent spirit that remains after the death of a particularly bad individual in order to cause harm and chaos. The Comb King won't visit its former home, but instead will roam in open spaces, mostly forests. It was unfortunate then if young children who wandered too deep into the forest should encounter a Comb King. The creature will devour them or possess them and turn them into dark spirits. They were also known to appear if people in the forests irritated or angered the various fairy beings and nature spirits. In this sense, they act as bodyguards to the beings of the other world. It's said that when a Comb King whistles, the temperature drops dramatically, hence their name. They can take the form of a cat or a dog or even a haystack, interestingly enough. But they cannot enter private residences, much like the modern vampire. So as long as Estonians sheltered indoors, they were quite safe from these ghouls. It was thought to be possible for one to transform into a Comb King with the assistance of magic or a witch, although this isn't a desire for anybody in their right mind. Vanatui, meaning the old empty one, is a devil from the underworld. He's a bit of a combination of the Christian devil, a giant, a malicious spirit, and the trickster figure. He's more stupid than malevolent though, often being outwitted by his servant, Cavalance. He causes a great deal of trouble and makes many enemies, including the Estonian thunder god Pigna, as he steals his musical instruments. His worst enemy, though, is Suur-Toll, the giant of Saaremaa that you might recall from earlier on. Toll was beheaded by forces loyal to Vanatui. Vanatui, who is also known as Vanapagan, was in possession of a hat made of fingernail clippings that gives the owner the power of invisibility. Children were told not to leave nail clippings lying around, otherwise Vanatui might come after them and make himself an invisibility hat. The Ebayag is a type of dark spirit that takes the form of a whirlwind. They're described as having a great deal of strength and seem to take up the weapons of fallen warriors and add them to the windstorm, which is itself fueled by death energy, rage, anger, and hatred. Moroweda Tutred. The daughters of Moroweda are the children of the Grass Mother, another woodland or nature spirit. These women live in eternal youth, wearing beautiful white clothes, and can be found dancing and frolicking in the open grass in the forest on moonlit nights. They bathe in lakes and rivers in the forest and play and splash about in the water. They sing so beautifully that all the birds in the forest are encouraged to reproduce upon hearing it. If a human lurks in the shadows or in the bushes and tries to watch as they bathe, they can either be blinded or rendered speechless, so they can never repeat what they saw. The Kodaman is a spirit that can be found on Estonian ships in the Baltic Sea that serve as a protective guardian, assisting sailors and fishermen with their duties. He's a small human-like figure that smokes a pipe and wears a nightcap-style sailor's cap. He makes himself useful when the ship is in a state of disrepair. He might pump water from the hold, or hammer away to plug a leak until a carpenter arrives to take his place. When he feels disrespected though, he'll make his anger known to the crew by way of tangling ropes, rapping on the ship's hull, or breaking things. Only when the ship is doomed to sink will he allow himself to be seen by the crew, at which point the sailors know the vessel is going down. Thus, to catch a sight of the Klabautermann is a very bad omen, despite his benevolence. The Lupainaya, meaning the one who presses your bones, is a nightmare that will sit atop sleeping humans and animals, suffocating them and causing sleep paralysis and awful dreams. The nightmare is found in many countries in the Germanic and Slavic world too, and while records of this creature date back to the 13th century, it likely stems back much further. Pisuhans are small fire drakes that serve as household spirits in Estonia. They perform tasks such as keeping firewood dry, as well as tending to the stables. They also form a very close bond to the master of the house and ensure that his wealth is well guarded, and will bring gifts to their master, sometimes things that they've stolen from others. They're extremely loyal to their host family and appreciate being well fed and treated with respect. Failure to do so may result in them burning down the house. Harjapulvlane are similar to the Germanic dwarves. They certainly have the same grumpy temperament. Their name means bull spirit or something similar in translation, as their height is said to be the same as the knee of a bull or an ox. Their distinguishing feature is their long grey beard. They dwell underground and work as blacksmiths, slaving away over the forges in groups of no more than 7. They work at night and cannot be heard, except on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, when the bang of the hammers can be heard by the careful listener. They may be small, but they're far stronger than humans. Kivialuna are small spirits that also reside in caves and rock caverns. They highly value their solitude and can remain still and silent for days on end. If people disturb their peace by trespassing in the caves, then they've been known to cause large stones to fall down, not to hurt people, but just to scare them away. They're also known to be able to transform into rocks to better avoid discovery and disturbance by people. Saravat is a guardian creature of the islands and is considered to be a keeper spirit of lighthouses. Similar to cave spirits, he values his solitude too, but will sometimes be happy to communicate with trustworthy and peaceful people. He can commune with plants and has the ability to transform into a fox or an eagle. He's a gentle soul but won't tolerate rudeness or aggression. Meravezed, meaning sea cattle or sea beasts, are typically depicted as large, powerful beings that may resemble a blend of cattle and sea creatures. They're regarded as being guardians of the sea and the treasures that lie beneath the waves, but they can also be dangerous if provoked or disrespected. Some say that storms and shipwrecks are a means of protecting their territory or acts of vengeance against some transgression. And so concludes our list of 25 creatures from Estonian folklore and mythology. It's by no means every creature there is, but hopefully it serves as a good introduction to the legends of a hugely underrated country and culture. If there are any Estonians watching, I do hope that my pronunciation wasn't too bad. If you enjoyed this video and are looking for similar content, you can watch my 25 creatures of English, Scottish and Irish folklore too. And I shall see you all in the next video.